Hello fight fans, thanks for joining us at MMA Insider. Before we get rolling with today's news, show some love by hitting that like button and subscribing. Now let's uncover the latest happenings in MMA. Starting off, pros react after Renato Moicano stops Benoit Saint Denis at UFC Paris. Moving on, Demetrious Johnson explains why Jon Jones isn't the Michael Jordan of MMA. Next, Conor McGregor calls for UFC welterweight title fight against Belal Muhammad. Lastly, Conor McGregor absolutely unloads on ding-dong Ilia Topuria. Islam Makhachev has been revealed to fight in January 2025 at UFC 311 per Khabib Nurmagomedov. Talking to the media, here is what he said. UFC offered us a fight in January. We accepted it. UFC will make the announcement soon, including where it will take place and who Islam's opponent will be. I won't say anything about it myself, but I can say that we are focused on January. Today's UFC Paris event was headlined by a key lightweight bout featuring Benoit Saint Denis taking on Renato Moicano. Saint Denis was returning to action for the first time since suffering a knockout loss to Dustin Poirier at March's UFC 299 event. Meanwhile, Renato Moicano had entered today's event headliner in France sporting a 3-fight winning streak, his most recent being a second-round TKO victory over Jalen Turner this past April at UFC 300. Today's UFC Paris main event resulted in a brutal one-sided showing. Renato Moicano was able to get the fight to the ground in the opening seconds of the first round and proceeded to batter Benoit Saint Denis with a plethora of punches and elbows. Somehow, Saint Denis was able to survive the onslaught and make it out of round 1. While many expected Moicano to move in for the kill early in round 2, that didn't prove to be the case. Instead, the Frenchman was able to mount some decent offense, this while fending off the Brazilian's takedown attempts. However, at the end of the second round, the doctor was asked to come in and check on Saint Denis. Upon his review, the fight was waved off as Saint Denis could no longer see. Check out how the pros reacted to Renato Moicano defeating Benoit Saint Denis below. Renato Moicano is the Brazilian. Renato sounds like he's from Brazil and Brooklyn at the same time, but smarter and well-read. Moicano on the back, full body triangle. Moicano's transitions on the ground are smooth like butter. Domination. Well, this is about as bad of a start imaginable for Benoit Saint Denis. Money Moicano ain't playing any games. This isn't looking good. Benoit will need to rely on his hands. If his kicking game keeps getting caught like round 1, this fight is over this round. What % chance do you give Benoit Saint Denis to win this fight following that first round? Moicano's shoulder is out, I think. What a warrior. Money Moicano is smoking him. It's the money line 2 in enemy territory. Hey, guess what? I'm not losing my... Demetrious Johnson has explained why he doesn't see Jon Jones as the Michael Jordan of mixed martial arts. In the eyes of many, Jon Jones is the greatest fighter of all time. He's done some incredible things in the sport, and later this year, he'll hope to cement his legacy even further when he battles Stipe Miocic. In doing so, he'll be defending his UFC heavyweight championship against the man who many believe is the best heavyweight ever. With that being said, not everyone is a huge fan of Jon Jones. He's been involved in his fair share of controversies outside of active competition, and some of his recent fights have been pretty close. In a recent podcast appearance, Demetrious Johnson gave his thoughts on Jones being labeled the Michael Jordan of MMA. Here is what he said. When you look at the later years of Jon Jones's career, those fights weren't as exciting. At the end of my career, I'm doing flying arm bars in a world title fight, right? If you look at whose skill set developed over time, I would say mine did. When you look at Michael Jordan, I felt like his skill set kept on developing. There are always going to be question marks surrounding the career of Jon Jones, and understandably so. Alas, if he can beat Stipe Miocic, that may be enough for him to call it a day and ride off into the sunset. Conor McGregor has remarkably called for a UFC welterweight championship shot against Belal Muhammad. As we know, Conor McGregor isn't afraid to challenge himself. He's taken on some huge names throughout the course of his mixed martial arts career, and he seems intent on getting back in the cage at some point in the future. We also know that he's a former 2-weight world champion in the UFC, something that very few people have accomplished. Nobody has ever been able to win world championships in 3 weight classes, but the Irishman has certainly teased the idea in the past. During a recent appearance, McGregor laid out the challenge to current UFC welterweight champion Belal Muhammad. Here is what he said. He's woeful. I want to fight him. Okay, Chandler is matched. Belal, McGregor, UFC welterweight world title on the line. I've got multiple knockouts at 170 pounds. I'm a force to be reckoned with at 170. I do damage at 170, yeah? Check the stats. This man Muhammad hasn't even gotten a knockdown in UFC history, not one knockdown. It's embarrassing, to be honest. Based on previous comments from Belal, you'd have to imagine that he won't accept this challenge. With that being said, Conor brings in the kind of financial intrigue that means he could wind up skipping the line. There's no guarantee, but now that Michael Chandler is out of the picture, it could lead to some strange things in the UFC. Conor McGregor has absolutely unloaded on UFC featherweight champion Ilia Topuria. McGregor and Topuria have taken shots at one another in the past. Most recently, the UFC featherweight champion said he would turn down a fight against the Irishman due to what McGregor stands for now. Here is what he said. "I wouldn't like to fight McGregor. I mean, McGregor would be an option if I could fight him. But right now, I'm telling you that if they offered me a fight with him, I'd say no, because there are bigger fights than him. I know he is not what he was. He's not that McGregor who moved the masses. He's a McGregor who represents alcohol and drugs more than sport. I have been inspired by Conor. I admired him when I was little, and he lost it because he has betrayed the values that brought him to the top. We have lost an idol." Now, following Ilia Topuria's comments, Conor McGregor was doing a video with Dual Bits when he absolutely went off on the Georgian Spaniard. "How do you think you'd beat Ilia Topuria? I'd grab him by the scruff of the chest and slap the little nose off of him. Little ding-dong of a thing he is. I'm in Marbella at the bare knuckle, we'll see what's what. You little fool, I'll cave your head in. Tick, I'll box your jaw in on sight. I'm in Marbella, Spain, October 12th at the bare knuckle. See what happens? See what happens when you come across me." Conor McGregor obviously took exception to what Ilia Topuria said about him. The Irishman also told Ilia it's on site if he attends the BKFC event in Spain. However, with Topuria set to fight on October 26th against Max Holloway, it's unlikely he would attend the event or try to start anything with McGregor. But perhaps this rivalry ends with McGregor and Topuria eventually sharing the octagon. Thank you so much for tuning into today's video. Your dedication and support fuel our passion to bring you the latest and greatest in the MMA world. If you enjoyed today's news, please give us a thumbs up and share it with fellow MMA fans. Remember to subscribe to stay in the loop with daily MMA updates. We've got a lot of exciting news, interviews, and analysis coming your way every single day. Your engagement helps us grow and serve the MMA community even better. Once again, thank you for being an integral part of our daily MMA journey.